welcome to the Elevated Chat Room. We back again with an episode, Changed Forever, the Ronny Poag story. Now, my guy Dwayne Malone, again, he is behind the scenes, but you will hear his voice.
Absolutely.
Man, I see his face, but you will hear his voice.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, we got a special guest with us on tonight, Mr. Ronny Poag. He's the care pastor for Faith Church in Florence. I'm going to let him take over right now and kind of introduce himself. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, first of all, guys, thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's an honor to be with you guys. Obviously, you guys, what you're doing is really near and dear to us at Faith Church.
Sweet.
We love to partner with what you're doing here. We've loved it from the get-go, the original idea when it was brought to us. We couldn't wait to get on board. Gotten to know Dwayne. Lonzo, great meeting you
Great,
tonight.
nice meeting you,
I think we connected pretty quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great to be here. I know you guys have a special mission, a special call on what you do here, and it's all about seeing lives changed forever. That's what
good.
we do.
That's good. So, and it's funny that you said it about how you guys saw it from the beginning, because you guys were one of the church's first organizations, first people to reach out and help us and bring in, droves of people. And you guys would come in and help paint and do all these different things when we was getting the building renovated. And me and Dwayne would talk all the time. He was like, man, when people come and they help us, it puts us months and weeks ahead, because it was just a team. And sometimes it'll just be him and then me and him, and then maybe one other person on the team, because life was just so busy. Yeah. But we was blessed at a specific time to get this, because it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So a lot of people had more time on their hands.
No doubt. No doubt.
I will too I'll say this too, Zoe. Not only did they help us then, but they continue to help us through the process and grow what we're doing. And to me, that's a blessing too.
Yeah. So we definitely appreciate you guys.
Yes.
As a care pastor, what is a care pastor?
Well, Pastor Steve hit me up years ago. A little bit about my background. I'll walk you into it. I've been in Sheffield most of all my life. I grew up here, went to Sheffield High School, so worked for the city of Sheffield for 35 years. I retired from Sheffield Utilities.
Okay.
Pastor Steve approached me with an idea of approaching caring for people within the church in a different direction. We had a couple of guys that were retiring kind of out of a similar spot, but he saw it being a bigger outreach. And so what I do, I came on board with him a little over 10 years ago, and that's what I do. I reach out to people who may be hurting. I reach out to people who may be sick or in a hospital. I take care of, those benevolence things that come up. And I just really connect with people and try to let them know, that's what's special about you guys. You're in the same business. We're here to reach people and connect them to God and other people that's going to help and support them. So that's been a role I took on. We've expanded it. I take care of a lot of the counseling now, helping people that may have some other issues going on and consult with them. So it's been a great 10-year journey. We got great leadership.
Yeah.
Pastor Steve is just taking the church to a new level. And, we started with about 600 people. On Easter Sunday, we had about 6,000 there. So that's big, and we went from one campus to 3 campuses. We've got a campus in Lawrenceburg. We've got a campus over in Shoals. So yeah, it's just an exciting time, and caring for people is an easy part. It's an easy way to get up and get excited about going about my day. So it's been fun. It's been a great time.
So it sounds like he chose the right man. like real
well,
like
on some days, on my good days.
No, we all have bad days.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
But it's good to be humble too. I like to.
Thank you.
But like I said, from when I first ran into you and met you, it's like you're very, personable.
Yes.
Your personality, it's just like, it's welcoming.
It's contagious.
And then once you start talking, you smiling. And see, one thing that I've learned when you first meet somebody, you compliment them.
Yeah.
You can do it directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
And you did that to me when you was like, man, I like your car.
Yeah.
And then I gave it back to you when I was like, man, I said, you must work out a little bit, don't you? So it's like
back and forth.
Yeah, because see, I know how to, like you say, how to interact with people to make people feel comfortable with you and make them feel good about themselves. Man, it can be the smallest things.
Isn't that really what we're supposed to do in a way, to just to find a way to love one another?
Yeah.
And, it's a fun thing to do. It's not hard to pick out a positive about somebody, and it
Right.
just leads into finding out who they are, what makes them tick, what they're going through, and then that's when we have a chance to share some positive, some good news into their life.
That's good. That's good. Well, let me ask you this: how did someone first taking an interest in you change your life?
Yeah, well, I grew up here, like I told you, and my first part of my life went really well. I had a great upbringing, great family. Grew up right by the high school, so sports was my introduction to really trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a while, and then I kind of took a few wrong moves after I went off to play in college, and I was a baseball player, and I took a little bit of a turn, man. Kind of went down a dark road for a while, and so I had built a pretty decent reputation and a pretty decent name around these parts, but some of those decisions I made kind of brought it down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a turn where I kind of lost a lot. I lost a lot of favor. I lost my reputation. I really lost my name. So when I first made a change in my life, at first nobody really took an interest in it because I had tore down so much. So I say that to say, again, I've always connected with people, good or bad.
Yeah.
And I spent about 10 years on the other side of the tracks, doing a lot of crazy things, not good things. And so it took me about 10 years to win my reputation and win my name back. And people really had to visually see a change.
Mm-hmm.
They had to really buy into this is really a new person.
Yeah.
They knew me young. They knew I had a lot of influence, a lot of good things going, but they saw a dark side.
Yeah.
Man, it was a lot of work, and it surely didn't happen overnight. Along that road, 10 years, I heard a lot of people, and, I was trying to build my own kingdom. And after about 10 years, I saw it come crumbling down. I lost my way. I kind of forgot who I was. I'd always been kind of an overcomer.
Yeah.
What I found out was the world will quickly overcome you. So yeah, it was a journey, man. But God has a way of putting the pieces back together.
Was there anyone in particular when you was lost or when you was going about doing things? We all do that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What we want to find out what's really out there.
Yeah.
And you never know what you can get exposed to and what can grab a hold to you, because we think we're stronger than what we are when it comes to certain things.
Yeah.
So was there anybody like along that journey in those 10 years that you was talking about that kind of took a hold to you and like, I still see something in you? I remember the kid you were and I see where you can go. Was there anybody in your life at that time that kind of pushed you that way?
Yeah, during those 10 years, man, I pretty much lost. I lost everything. Everything. My life was just bankrupt. That's where I ended up. That was the end of the journey. I thought it would never happen. Everybody thinks, well, it'll never happen to me. But it can happen to anybody. And probably when I was at the crux of my addictions and my alcoholism, that kind of thing I was into, I met a young lady at work. And we started we started kind of going out, and she was 10 years younger than me, and really nobody was happy about it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Except me. I was real happy.
Except me.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I still got a little something here left in the tank. Oh, so anyway, obviously she saw something, and we were together for about a year, and we decided to get married, and I was still kind of I'd already lost one family.
Yeah,
I already lost a marriage, kids. It was tough, and but anyway, yeah, she saw something that nobody else could see, and she hung in there. She stuck it out. We got married, but about a year later, I was still kind of on the road. Why she didn't leave, I don't know, but. I ended up getting busted. I got busted for drugs, and on that road to really losing it all, she pretty much told me, "This is it." I can't. I see your past. I see your background. I can't go through it, and so I landed up in a drug rehab, and people started getting real with me. I just kind of went in there because the court and the authorities kind of recommended I do some changing. They really recommended it. You got one choice, or you can go the other way. But so, counselor in there, I met. She kind of challenged me. She was another one that kind of saw something, and her challenge was a little different though. She said, Poag, I see about 100 people coming here, addicts just like you, and they think they got all the answers. And she said about 3 will get clean and make it. And she said, "You're not one of them." And I thought, wow, really? So that was, I think, something that sparked like a competitiveness that I'd always carried around. And I thought, well, I'm going to show her. And through that, God started depositing a lot of different people in my life. I met a guy who had been who tried to kill himself in a car accident, and God spared him and saved him and turned his life around. And I'm sitting here listening to a guy in a wheelchair talk about God's love. And I'm thinking, man, there's got to be something to this, because I had no church background. I had nothing.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. And, but through all that, I kind of heard about, the first time I really started hearing about Jesus was in AA meetings.
Okay.
And that was kind of radical. And I really didn't want to hear it, you know. But I started hearing these things. And after about a year, I stayed clean kind of on my own. And my wife got me to go to church. And so I went in that church, and this guy, I'm telling you, this guy was bringing some fire. I mean, he was bringing it, man. It was a turn or burn message. And I really thought I was going to light up right there in the pew. I mean, I really did. And so, I still had a lot of pride I was carrying around, and I just couldn't make a decision. But on the way home, God got a hold of me. And I literally pulled off the road and I just said, God, there ain't much left, but what's left is going to be yours. And I really felt like an anointing, an oil almost came over me and just washed me. And so I just said, Lord, whatever door you open, I'll go through it. And that started probably about 30, almost 35 years ago.
Awesome.
So it ain't been perfect.
No, it never.
But His grace was perfect.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. And man, that is, and see, that's what's so powerful, that I think a lot of people that's dealing with addictions or dealing with any kind of addiction, no matter what it is, we don't possess the power to take ourselves and really truly deliver ourselves out of it. So until you get a hold to a higher power that is more powerful than anything, that is when you truly get that relief. Yeah. That's when you get that, when everything just like, and I'm not saying it's easy, even when God comes into your life and the Holy Spirit comes over you, and it just feel like, now I know He's real. Now I know I have that chance. The enemy is still going to attack. He's still going to throw little opportunities at you, and it's up to you to decide: are you going to stay connected to the Holy Spirit through this thing, or are you going to do it on your own will? And so once you said that you had that encounter with God, an encounter with Christ, that's how you know when things get real. Yeah. Then you got a new sense of purpose about your life too. It's like, you know what? If God took time out to look down on me, to come down on me, and to see about me, then I know I got to be. There's something I got to do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's purpose out there for me.
Well, you do, and those addictions. Nobody goes out looking to get. To get consumed in a way of an addiction, and you come up, you think you can get close to a line. Next thing you know, you've crossed the line, and you just you don't really know how to control it. You can't stop it. It takes over, affects all of your decisions. And so when I'm, obviously now, from going from the addiction to the faith journey, the number one thing I try to tell people is you cannot do this alone.
Come on.
You cannot do this alone.
Come on.
And, it's the same way. You can't save yourself.
Come on.
So, you're talking about the Holy Spirit has got to get in there and convict you. And then you find that grace has always been there. Yeah. And so same way when I'm counseling or talking with people that are struggling, I got to be straight up with them. And I got to tell them, just like she told me, that the odds are not great of you overcoming this. And you got to find a way to let them know you've got really one shot. and that's finding a higher power.
Come on.
You know, and it can be whatever, but
Yeah.
you know, the what I'm going to tell them about is my higher power,
Right.
Yes.
in a way that's not condemning,
Mm.
but a way that's got compassion in it,
Mm.
in a way that they can learn about forgiveness, and you know, and God will make a way to build those bridges back. So
that's a powerful journey, man.
it's been a good ride.
That's a powerful. And then the words of our testimony.
Yeah.
And so your testimony is so heavy, and so deep, and so rooted in those things that those people are dealing with, that you have another level of empathy that most may not have.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of counselors that's counseling and ain't never been through what they counseling they clients on.
Yeah.
But when you've been through it,
Yeah.
and you see yourself in them, and you see where they can go, come on, man, that makes it a whole lot more powerful.
Well, it's funny, the word you bring up, Zoe, is empathy, because my daughter is she's 22 and she's getting married here in October. She says the one thing I lack is empathy.
It's recorded.
She'll hear that.
But it's coming from a different angle with your daughter. You already know, kids are different. Our
Well,
kids,
you know,
yeah,
you guys know, man. I mean, you know, dude, I'm old school.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here 65 years. I've seen a lot of stuff go down, and you know, so there's definitely a need for some tough love at times, and we laugh about that because she knows, you know, I would lay it down for her in a heartbeat, or anybody, you know, all my family, you know that. But it's funny because, you know, you almost have to find that where you can just. It's so hard to get. It was so hard for me to come to that complete place of surrender.
Mm.
That's a hard place to get, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you want to fight, and you want to beat something. You figure out, I've dug this hole so deep, there's no way out.
Yeah.
Until you surrender and ask God, you know, can you come in and help me? And it's all of a sudden, like for me, it was like a ladder just coming down into that pit, and just trying to walk up it one ring at a time, and he just walks you up out, and you come back into this place of sunshine and peace, you know, blessing, and you know, and it's you think it's almost too good to be true, but it's not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's not.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's this quote that I say quite often. It says that the same mind that created the problem doesn't possess the power to get you out of it.
That's exactly right.
So once you get too deep into something with your thought life, you don't have the power to get you out of it.
No.
You need somebody or something or some being that thinks higher than you.
Yeah.
And that's been there and done.
Yeah, and you know, and I love that. I love that saying, and I love that quote, you know, and I almost tell people that if you're really, you know, they really got some heavy stuff they're carrying, you know, you almost have to find something or someone that's bigger than your addiction
Mm-hmm.
to go for it.
What's your why?
Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect.
You call it what you call it, and we call it your why.
That's it. I like it. Well, you got to find out the why.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the why is the big thing. It's Pastor Steve, you know, that's his thing with you guys. It's always about the why.
Mhm.
You know, we can do the who and what, but it's what really, you know, what really digs in, and why are you going to do this?
Yeah.
So I always tell people too, and I try to be honest with them, because, you know, I deal with a lot of people dealing that heavy stuff, heavy addictions, heavy alcohol problems, whatever. But the only hope you have is when you become willing to do whatever it takes.
Mm.
If you ever get to that point, I that's what I told my wife, you know, she's walking out the door with her bags packed. And I told her, but honey, I am willing to do whatever it takes. And that was the key, you know, and you got to mean it.
Yeah.
You know, you probably say it a bunch, you know,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But when it hits your heart, man, and you know, and you become willing to do whatever it takes, God can work with that.
Awesome.
God can work with that.
Let me ask you this then. In what ways did your journey from addiction to faith shape your role as the pastor that you are today? We kind of already talked about it a little bit.
We did.
Let's
We
get
did.
into more
But,
detail.
but you know, it helps me because anybody that comes in has got a story.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to know their story. A lot of it. You know, I had a kid come in and you know, he was just pretty down and out. His parents was all over him, whatever. And he said, man, you know, because I'm the old guy. He said, I want you to know I've got a weed issue. I said, oh, really?
Well, we didn't call it weed back then.
Yeah,
But
yeah. He said, now, I know you probably, I said, well, I know a little bit about that. You know, I've got a little bit of history of that, you know, because not only did I know about it, I knew about the operation of making it happen, you know, because when you start getting into it, you need some resources to stay with it.
True.
Yeah.
So I told him at the end, bro, I'm working with an organization. We're bringing it in by the tractor trailer load.
Wow.
We're selling it not by the lid. We're selling it by the bale.
Yeah.
So, and it's all fun and games. And I'll tell them all, it's all fun and games until somebody gets busted, until somebody goes behind bars, or until somebody loses their life. And then it gets real. And that's where it's going to end up, one of those scenarios. And their eyes get a little big then, you know, and okay, he knows a little something about this.
Yeah.
So the story of, you know, where I'd been and what God has brought me through always helps tell them about this other road that's available. And it ain't that wide, 6-lane road. It's narrow.
Yeah.
But there's a way. And so that road is the journey that I try to let them know that's available. And I want them to hear about the good things that God's going to do, what he has a plan, you know, that he wants to make a difference in their life. So that usually opens up a lot of different conversation with people that's struggling.
That's good. Because I can only imagine when a young kid walks in and he sees you, and he's like you said, you're the older guy. And then he throws a question or his issue at you, and then you're able to talk to him and relate to him.
Yeah.
So once you build that rapport, now that trust can be built. Now he can start receiving from you.
Yes.
And then he can start walking on this path of healing. So that's, I mean, you, like you said, you're in the right place. You're doing exactly what God has called you to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, man, it's, I run into a lot of people, you know, that, like you said, we started earlier, that really questioned my conversion. And so I knew from the beginning that, you know, this has got to be real.
Yeah.
And so when I made that prayer years ago, it's for the doors to open, they began to open. And so within a couple of years, you know, I started getting invited to go into football camps, youth groups, you know, men's breakfasts. A lot of different doors started opening up. So, you know, a lot of them knew me on the other side. But when you come in and God's just taken over all of you, it's visible, and they know it's real. Yeah. And so that does help, that people, you know, kids especially will pick up on if it's not authentic.
Yeah. Hands down. Hands down.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, you know. And I just want them to know, it doesn't matter where you've been, what you're in, there's a way out. Yeah. And I also let them know it's not easy.
Yeah. You got to put some work into
it. Yeah. And, you know, and a lot of people, they love a challenge. Yeah. And I know I did. And so, so that's what it's about.
That's awesome.
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
To business owners and maybe church leaders or organization leaders and so on, that may be in a high profile place to be able to hire, to be able to put people in positions, what advice would you give them for someone that may be coming out of the streets or came out of the streets and trying to do right? What advice would you give them to give them an opportunity to be in a better position in life, to have a certain job title, to be in a certain position in a church leadership and so on? Like, what advice would you give them? And is there like a balance where when you've done all you've done to try to help them, and not being afraid of taking the risk to help them without it making you look bad or putting you in a position of, you got what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think, you know, the question, you almost answered it yourself, you know, because I think any kind of leadership or employers, they got to be willing to take the risk. They got to be willing. Yeah. And, you know, we look into scriptures and we know that God's a God of not second chances, but more chances and more chances. So I think you, as a leadership or as a a high level person, you got to be willing to take the risk, and you got to be ready to handle a relapse.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be ready to handle that, and you got to have a plan to let that person, because they're gonna mess up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully it's not in going back into
Yeah.
a big issue, but we're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to forgive that. You got to be able to. My big thing is when you take somebody on, you got to be ready to have a real relationship with that person.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what we're all,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, meeting this guy in the parking lot, I thought I could have a relationship with this
Yeah.
guy pretty
Mhm.
quick. I mean, he's rocking that Braves jersey. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I've been a Braves fan since I was 8 years old. I know we're gonna hit it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so you gotta be willing to get real. You gotta be willing to dig in. You gotta be real. I think you gotta be willing to get some dirt on your hands.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons why I asked that, because I'm pretty sure you probably come in contact with people all the time, maybe older friends or so on, that they're not given the opportunity because people are so focused on the brokenness or the decisions that they made that were negative.
Mm-hmm.
So they're hopeless.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes people have to be willing to take the risk,
Yes.
Yeah.
as you mentioned. Because like I said, I talk to a lot of different people, a lot of fathers, because we work with kids all the time. But then you get to learning a lot of families and fathers and so on. They just feel like it's just the government said there's a second chance, there's another chance, but then like they just can't find the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think-
Yeah.
I
Well,
think also.
I'm gonna be honest with you, transparent with you guys. That's not my strongest suit.
Mhm.
Because I'm a guy who sets goals and wants to reach goals,
Mhm.
and I got to have people that are driven,
Mhm.
you know, and if they, my grace level, that's why God put,
It has to be a balance.
yes, that's why I think the Lord put such a beautiful person like my wife in my
Mhm.
life, because I've got some people around me that will not give up on people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a line almost,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that it's the balance you're
Mhm.
talking about. And my balance probably needs to be a little bit more toward giving them a little bit more grace. Because man, I can get frustrated, you know, I can get frustrated.
I see, and because of your athletic background, most athletes we're kind of wired like that. I played college ball.
Yes.
So when it comes to like dealing with people and you say you're going to do what you said you was going to do,
Yeah.
and I hold you to the standard that you have set for yourself, not for what I've set for you. So if you told me you're going to do A, B, and C, then that's what I expect. And then like if you do some things, I'm like, look, yeah, I may give you grace, but it may not be the grace that you thought you was going to get. It may look different, but I still gave you grace because I could have went a whole nother route.
Yeah.
So I understand what you mean. And then you'll have, like I said, you'll have people in your corner that give people a little bit more grace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I give you grace.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love people, but it's like you said, it's a line.
Yeah. And
I understand. And I understand too that, yeah, like you said, it has to be a balance, because what you don't want to do is subliminally be endorsing a behavior that needs to. If we always step in when God is trying to get someone's attention, to bottom them out, to get to acknowledge him, but we're always stepping in and becoming the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
What do they need God for?
that's right.
And so I guess that's for the fine line where you have to make sure that you are not being the replacement in that moment.
Yeah.
So you can do your part to try to help and so on. But then,
Well, like Zoe said, I mean, we've got I mean, God put something in us. God wants us to be winners.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's in the scripture. You know, he wants us to play the game to win, to
Yeah.
run the race to win.
Yeah.
And we want that for everybody. I think the tough thing for me is to realize everybody's not going to do that.
That's true.
They're just not. And
is true.
it may be that they so want to do it, but they're just so overwhelmed by the world or whatever they've got caught up into. That's the tough odd, is that everybody's not going to get that, you know.
And we know that. We'll go speak to 100 kids. And we know all these 100 kids, all of them are not going to do what we say.
Yeah.
All of them are not going to take this, make changes, and then see their life shift and become more successful.
Right.
Out of that 100, we lucky if we get 10.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, we're lucky if we can get 10 out of that 100
absolutely.
to actually take it and run with it. So every now and then we get those stories when they come back and they say, man, when y'all came and spoke at our school, that really hit me. And I went and started doing this, and this is where I'm at now. I was like, well, glory to God.
Absolutely.
You know,
well, that's like when that lady challenged me. So she said there's going to be 3 out of 100, and you're not one of them.
Right.
Bro, they hit hard.
Yeah.
But now I knew I could be one of those 3.
Yeah.
It was just, was I willing to do what it takes?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the odds aren't great, but you know, you can tell when somebody's ready to put into work, like you said, and ready to make an effort. Then we're going to make that effort.
Yeah,
we're going to walk beside them.
I also, just going from another angle, it's like if somebody's coming into my circle, or they needing something, they want me to be able to put a good word out for them. I like, you got to have some good references. I know you done been through some stuff in life, and I know you're shifting, you're changing, and all this kind of stuff. Okay, but you just can't come to me with nothing.
Yeah.
Like, who are your references? Who are you? Who's your circle? What person in the community will vouch for you?
Yeah.
You know, other than me, you know, I'm trying to build a relationship with you, but who else? What does your references look like? In other words, what's your brand look like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I said, I'm cool with giving people a second chance. You done messed up, I get that. Okay, yeah. Now what? Okay, now what?
Yeah.
So now we can shift and look at what we can do, but you got to show me some types of fruits as we continue this journey. So that's just me. Like I said, I'm wired from that athletic background.
Sure. I mean, that's why we're there, and that's why they're there. You know, now as we got the experience, we can help coach people up.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a learning process. So I'm going to give you that second chance or that next chance, but you can't continue to make the same mistake.
Right. You can make different mistakes, but not the same one.
Yeah, we'll get that. Yeah. But it's like you said, man, you're going to be able to see them grow. You're going to be able to see some fruit start coming. And so that's going to energize you, you know, to stay with them.
Yeah. That's good. So what motivates you to share your testimony, and how have you seen that impact others?
Yeah. So, I almost just backed into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because my conversion, I knew it was so radical. I literally woke up one night in the middle of a night, in the middle of a heavy binge, and I don't know if it was the Holy Spirit, I don't know if it wasn't an audible voice, but I felt like the Lord was telling me, I heard last chance. That's what I heard, last chance. And I don't think it was like he was fixing to just strike me down or anything. I think it was the last chance to walk into what the call that was going to be there. And so again, once my story got out there to people, and then people started recognizing it and seeing it again, like I said before, the doors just started to open.
Yeah.
And so, so they, when I mentioned AA a while back, I had about a year, maybe a little over a year sobriety, and I got invited to speak at a large AA meeting.
Yeah.
You know, probably 150 people there. And the only thing I could share was my conversion, which centered around my higher power, which centered around what Jesus had done for me.
Yeah.
So that just kind of catapulted everything into the faith. And, I got involved in a church, and that just started, when they see people that are available, they will find you.
Yeah.
And so that's been a great story. And again, I don't force it. When a door opens, I told the Lord I'll go through it. That's why, like when Dwayne, reached out, that's just a door.
Yeah.
I don't even question it.
Yeah.
I just go.
So has anybody ever came back to you and it's like, hey man, your story really, hit me, or I really appreciate your story. I can relate to it. Like any success stories you have from that angle?
Yeah. I mean, obviously through the years, I think the ones that mean the most, probably when I was first kind of getting going, I was probably in my mid 30s, and obviously, like you said, being an athlete that grew up here, anytime I got to go to do a football camp or talk to a group of players or stuff like that, I've had a few people come up, and one guy recently came up and said, man, I remember when you came to a football camp down at with Deshler had a football camp. We'd go down and set up with them and talk, and great opportunity with some of those coaches that were friends of mine. And I said, you remember? He said, yeah, I was 17. I said, well, how old are you now? He said, 38.
Wow.
So, 20 plus years ago. And then also got a chance to talk to his son through that and kind of share, my dad told me, that you came down. And so through that, I got to build a relationship with his son and kind of be a middleman to helping him with a job opportunity that looks like going to be a good career. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. If you cannot help make other people's lives better, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything on like this super high level. Like if you're not, you can simply, like we talked about earlier, just compliment somebody on a day where you don't know it, but they're struggling with their self-esteem.
Yeah.
They're struggling with how they view themselves, and you just came by and just told a young lady, not flirting with anything, but hey, you look nice today.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I noticed you cut your hair.
Yeah.
Like just something, because you'll be surprised. There's women that are married and their husbands pay no attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my coworkers, when I first started my job, I told her she looked nice. She's like, you trying to be funny? I was like, no. I was like, you got to learn how to take a compliment. I'm just complimenting you, But she said, well, I'm not used to that. And she was like, my husband don't care if I wear a paper sack or not. Like real talk. So it's like, you really don't know what people are missing in their lives.
Yeah.
So by you just being who you are, and people know when you're trying to be over the top, or they know when you're just being you. If you're a friendly guy, then they know you're just going to be friendly.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's my thing, man. So we can make other people's lives better by doing the simplest things.
I look through my journey. What I learned, though, was that God brought me from being self-serving and being so selfish and just wanting my own selfish desires to being able to be a servant and to serve others. And to, like you said, just deposit an encouraging word or an encouraging story or something they've done just to highlight. We have so many people at our church who serve every week to make our services and what we do happen. I mean, it's easy to compliment those people that are serving, and we just, and it doesn't take much, like you said, just a word.
Yeah.
And you never know what that's going to do to somebody.
And see, like when you're kind, when you're sowing seeds of kindness, you're going to reap that.
Oh, yeah.
Like you'll go into some places and you'll never expect it. And then next thing you know, somebody's just being overly nice, so you got favor. Because you were just a kind person to somebody else on your journey in life. We talk about how many seeds we sow into these kids that are not ours, that we're not getting paid for. We don't get nothing other than the fulfillment of our purpose when we're sowing into these kids' lives.
Yeah.
But I got kids. He has kids. So if I'm blessing hundreds and thousands of kids in my lifetime, somebody got to bless my kids.
Oh man, absolutely.
So that's another reason, to give you that extra energy. It's like, man, because some days you don't want to do it. When you're honest, it's like, man, I don't feel like coming in here dealing with this today.
Yeah.
But then you push through.
Everybody can't be Dwayne. I mean, he comes in here every day.
I don't know how he do it.
I know it.
He sleeps here.
So here's my thing, for you guys is, I'm around a lot of people and there's always situations, and nobody's coming to me unless they're hurting.
Yeah.
Unless they're looking for some kind of word. And what you guys do and what I've seen in my own life, I've hurt my own kids and stuff like that, but what you guys do and what I love about it is you bring a hope to so many people, and especially kids, because I look around now, I was an adopted kid back in the early 60s. That didn't happen back then. And I had a dad that walked into my life when I was 5 years old. I didn't know who my dad was. I had no clue. But he put a name on me, and he gave me a hope, and he gave me a chance to be successful.
Wow.
So, that's what we get a chance to do now.
Yes.
And that's what you guys, you guys bring so much hope into hurting young people. And I look around now, you could turn a page or two, every family is dysfunctional.
Yes.
We're all kind of messed up if we want to get honest.
Yeah.
But man, we've got something that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I just believe if it's a word, a kind word, encouragement, they're going to feel something.
Yeah.
that's going to allow us to put a deposit into them. It's going to open a track that we're going to get to go through that could change them, not just for now, but eternally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we do what we do.
And see, like I said, sometimes you don't know how you're truly influencing them.
Yeah.
You don't, because sometimes you don't even know if they're even listening, paying attention. And then a few weeks later, a month later, they'll repeat something that you told them during a group session.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, they do be listening.
Yeah.
Keep going, Zoe.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it, Zoe. I mean, it's just about sowing the seed.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we're responsible to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can't, you know, figure out where we're dropped because we're dropping so many of them. You know, we're trying to reach. You know, we say it every week, man. We're here to reach people, and connect them to God and others. So that's what your mission is, to reach and help young people. So we're throwing seeds, man, and all of them ain't gonna hit.
No,
but the ones that do are special.
It's funny because not even like I've been married, it'd be 13 years.
Okay.
End of this month, right?
Okay.
So, like even we talking about sowing seeds and talking to kids, like even with me talking to my wife, because you know I do a lot of like reading, leadership, like just personal development, just different things like health, all kind of stuff, right? Real estate, credit. I'm always trying to learn something, right? So I'll just be sharing some stuff. I'll be random stuff.
You rambling. You rambling.
I am.
Yeah. With her.
I will.
Yeah.
And I'll just be and then I'm like, she ain't heard nothing I said. Right? Then all of a sudden, a week or two later, she in there on the phone with her sister. And I'm like, hold up. Is she not in there telling her everything that I just told her? I was like, this. I said, she sure be acting like she don't be listening to me. But now she always like a guru.
Yeah.
She's like an expert. She in there just spin facts. Bop, 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 bop.
Yeah.
But she never cite me. Never give me no credit. As if she learned this herself.
She got that selective hearing. So she's hearing a little bit of what you're dropping.
Yeah.
And we all alike. I mean, I'm sitting there like with my day, you know, my wife gets a little bit perturbed when I'm talking about one story, then I hit into another story, another person, this one, whatever. And it's like, you got to slow down, you know. I can't, I can't catch all this, you know. But it is what it is, you know. That's why, you know, and they still love us. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. But it's funny though, because I'm like, okay, yeah. So they're listening. Kids, your spouses, you know, just make sure you're just saying the right stuff. I remember a guy, he said, man, you talk too much. He was like, and I've always been a talker. He was like, man, you talk too much. So you got to start talking about the right stuff.
Yeah.
So as long as you're talking about the right stuff, he said, you're okay.
Yeah.
So I've been growing, trying to, you know, learn
you do,
the right
bro.
Stuff, man.
You're doing great. You are on the right track, bro. And
hanging with this dude right here, he'll put you on the track,
absolutely,
whether you're ready or not.
Absolutely. You know, he carries this this peaceful leadership, man.
Oh, yes.
And you know he's got it. And so it's just, you know, every time I'm around him, man, I don't even know. He don't even have to do anything. I feel better. I just feel better.
Dude, he has it's like the moment you walk into his presence, it's like a trust factor just hits. It's like, oh man, you can just trust this dude. Don't know why. It's just like, man, you can trust this guy. I don't know if it's the bald head or what.
Yeah. You know, he's got that thing, man. You around him long, you know, next thing you know, you writing a check.
Man.
You writing a check.
I'm
gonna support this man.
That's funny.
He's got it, man.
But you're not lying though.
Yeah.
No,
like he went out to lunch the other day, he was telling me.
Yeah.
Like he went out to lunch with two guys that we know.
Yeah.
They're already partners with us. Then one of the guys he speaks with us, he's like, they're on the team.
Sure.
And they bring in one of their friends. And then next thing you know, Dwayne sharing, next thing you know, he said, man, wrote us a check.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Wasn't he supposed to be there?
Yeah, the other guy, he just happened to show up by himself and he seen those two guys and knew him. He said, hey, can I join lunch with you all? And then like they started telling him, you know, introducing him to me and just sharing a little bit about us. And then he was like, man, I just feel led to give you
I told you ain't lying.
That's the gifts, man. He's got that gift.
He does.
Now we have that gift of gab.
Right.
Yeah, now what makes him great? He's a great listener. He's a great listener. And he picks it up, man. And people believe in it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, yeah. He's one of a kind. I'm telling you, like I haven't met too many men like him.
No.
Wow.
And my circle's already small.
Yeah.
You know, so and I'm not really looking to add unless God just does it organically.
Yes.
You know, but other than that, it's like, nah, man, but this guy right here, his vision for all this and he's constantly calling me with stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. And next thing I know, he's already implemented. I mean, he does not waste time. He is moving. He is on a serious journey, like at all times.
Well, here's what makes him different than most men. He was not afraid to chase his dream.
Mm-hmm.
He stepped into it. He started chasing what God had called him, because here's the thing, you got to chase your dream,
mm-hmm.
because that dream's not going to chase you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to step into it.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that level of faith,
mm-hmm.
like Dwayne Malone had, to step into it, he's 1 out of 100, maybe 1 out of 1,000 that'll do that. And that's why God honors that. That's why he puts the right people in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
I'm getting chills just feeling.
Man, you got me tearing up. I'm just in that thing, and like I was telling somebody the other day, like all I have is my faith in God, man. That's all I got.
Well, and it's a big faith, bro.
Like,
it is.
When you go down the road that I've been down, man, I'm telling you. Like, do this.
Well, yeah, man. So your story like that, and so and my story is I'd been an underdog my entire life. I grew up loving having heroes up there, watching them on Friday nights, and I thought, man, that's what I'm gonna be. The problem was, I was the smallest kid on the block, and I had no talent at all. So, but I had a dream, and I had a what I wanted to do, and I had like a never quit.
Yeah,
it's hard to beat somebody if they won't quit.
Right.
So that work drive and that work ethic and stepping into that, I can help you accomplish a lot.
Yes.
But here's the thing. When God comes into play and he becomes the coach and he's the one that's driving what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Everything gets in alignment.
Yes, oh, yeah.
So for you guys, what you're doing is just in perfect alignment with what God's called you to do. Yeah. What I get to do it's just an honor to be able to step into it and to make a difference and to, just be there. Yeah. And just to, deposit a smile. I got a lot of money in this smile. That's why I smile all the time, man. I got a lot of cash, hey, these veneers right here.
Keep smiling, babe.
So, and that's what we do, man. We step into that call when we start really pouring ourselves into our passion, that's when life becomes worth living.
Oh man, it gives you a whole new meaning.
Oh yeah,
Every day is different.
Yeah, you get up, and you ready to rock somebody's world.
I don't hit snooze.
Yeah, and
like seriously,
I know you don't, bro.
When it goes off, I'm up. I'm ready. Let's get it.
And I'll be honest with you, when you start experiencing the things that God started putting forth in your life, and just the confirmation he constantly seeing you to the point where you desire so much for other people to have it.
Yeah.
You desire so much, and you see things in them that they don't see it themselves. And that's one of the things you got to constantly be in prayer. Like, Lord, just let them get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the things for me, like, that's why I go so hard, because I want them to be able to experience it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just it.
Well, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like being able to get up and to walk with the Lord and to do what he's called you to do. It's just nothing like it.
It's not.
No. There's no money. There's no fame. There's nothing else that can touch it because you're content.
Yes, internally.
Yeah. And then Paul said, I just want to be content. And that's where we find ourselves a lot of the times, and if I get out of step, somebody, I've got a great support team.
You need that.
Yeah.
We all need that.
I've got a great, and Dwayne knows a lot of mine, but, my family, but my guys I hang out with, some of them are coming in here later on, and, you got the best first. I'm glad of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now we got to do the rest.
You got to straight up.
Absolutely.
But that you got to have that, man. Yeah. We got to have accountability. We got to have people, like you said, around our circle that push us to become better. Yeah. Because, or I just retire.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I just step out, retire. But it ain't no retirement I read about in the book. So we're just going to keep on doing what we do.
Keep on doing it.
Now, you spoke about family just a few minutes ago. So how has your journey of faith affected your family life?
Well, it's helped me for my first part. My first my first marriage, my kids and all, it just kind of, the addictions and the alcohol and all that just blew that up. So my faith and letting them see what God has done in my life has been able to put the pieces back together.
Glory to God.
Yeah, put the pieces back together.
That's amazing.
And I've had to make a lot of amends.
Yes.
And that's easy to do when you're literally just so sorry for a lot of things you put people through. So it did that, and then the family. I've just got a full team that gets behind what God lets me do. They just cheer it on, and they're part of it, and so I don't have, I very rarely have any kind of issues with any of my immediate family, and so they just put it back together.
Yeah.
It was like a puzzle, and it didn't take one piece at a time.
Yeah.
And but so it's all good, and getting to walk it out with them and for them. Now I get to lead.
Yeah.
What I'm called to do,
Awesome.
and so that's been fun.
That's awesome.
It's
So,
been fun.
what are the ages of your kids?
So, my oldest son, he would be 43. He passed away a couple of years ago, almost 2 years ago, overdose. So that was my one. So that's been a test.
Yes, sir.
That's been a test. My daughter's 38. I got a 38-year-old daughter. I got a grandson. Her son is 19. And I've got, with my wife of 34 years, we have a 27-year-old and a 22-year-old. And the baby is, like I said, going to get married in October. So then I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah. Y'all figure out.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope she'll still hang in there with me. She's been there 34 years. I hope she'll stay.
She's seen you at your worst. She ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So, there's still, again, those tests you got to walk out, when you lose a child.
Man, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's something you don't ever want to imagine, but that's a cost. Of what the enemy will throw at you, again, back to the addictions, and, I lost my son almost 2 years ago, and that's an everyday test, and I told this in my story at church not long ago, because I got to go through that every day of missing him, and sometimes I'll smile at some things that we said. He was a lot like me. He carried a lot of competitiveness and drive, and so I laugh. There's some days when I think about just fun times, but most of the days, there's going to be some part of that day where I cry.
Yeah,
I got to release that, and I got to know that God's plan is bigger than my plan, and all things work together for good.
Yeah,
it don't mean I probably won't ever get over that, but with God's grace and forgiveness, I find ways to get through that.
Yeah.
So that's a big one, man.
That is a big one.
And that's a big one that I appreciate you bringing it up, because it's a big one I have to talk about.
That's probably like going to be the biggest thing, because when parents pass, that's expected. That's how the order of life, is supposed to go. But when you lose a child, especially when you've been there, you've been around, and that child, because a love for a child is different. Like I said, I got a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. The way that God has introduced the love to them, and that what I receive back from them is you can only explain it through God. Because it's just amazing. There's nothing that these kids will ever do that I'm gonna disown them and say, you know what, you're not my kid. No, I'm not gonna bail you out all the time, but I'm gonna love you.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Good, bad, and ugly. So I can only imagine what that would.
Well, the thing about that, you said something earlier about impact and people coming to you and talking to you. Well, Pastor Steve took a few weeks off, kind of during the summer, and I was up one Sunday, and I just knew that God was wanting me to share a little bit about that loss. And so as I closed the message, I had my son's jersey up there, because he was a lot better athlete than I was. And man, he could hit a fastball and he could tear it up. And so, real quick, when he was about 12, my grandmother was with us, and we took him. He was playing in a game, and she told him, she said, "Tyler, if you hit a home run today, I'm gonna give you $50." He said, "Okay, Mom Pearl." And so he hit 2. And she didn't have no money, but somehow she had that. She found that $100.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that. But I just knew I had to share a little bit about his life and what the things and really how he was overcome by an addiction he could not control. And so, I shared that, and I shared the jersey, and on the back of it was number 1. And that's where he'll always hold in my heart, even through the tough times, like you said, Zoe. But through that, so many people resonated.
Yeah.
You never really realize there's so many people that have to gone through that kind of pain, and you share it, and then you can have a group there that can get through it together.
Let me ask you this: did you ever have any moments of survivor's guilt?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go through a lot of, what I could have done, what I didn't do, what I should have done, and the guilt of, being able to help him overcome some of those things. But at the end of the day, you got to realize, as far as I could, in my own heart, I felt like I'd done everything I could possibly do. And
Because I say that because my wife, she she went through cancer and everything like that, but then someone passed with the same type of cancer, and so she struggled with this sometimes. But for the fact of
why she's still
here, and yet they went through what they went through.
Yeah,
you got what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I
think that's a natural process for us as as humans. We have that compassion, and we don't understand. And I think that's why God puts it in His Word. His ways are not our ways, and I'm not going to understand that. I know what addictions can do, so I've got to realize that for me, I had a son that was really struggling, and I saw a lot of misery, and I felt like the Lord took him out of that misery and took him home. Because he was. Pastor Steve and I had a great relationship, all of us, and he come to work with us for a while. Pastor Steve deposited a lot in him and got down with him. And, he grew up, in church and all that. And I told him one time that he was struggling. I said, "Well, bro, I know you're saved because, you've been baptized so many times, you should have drowned probably." But, his salvation wasn't his issue. The sanctification part was what he struggled with. So getting through it. So, but God's grace is still good for that. And His power,
good.
The Holy Spirit is the power that keeps
That's the
keeps
only
it going.
thing that can keep you going without losing your mind.
That's it. That's it.
And people just don't understand that.
Because we've all lost someone or someone we've loved. So, but it's another level.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Like you said, Zoe, you said it's not in a natural order. So you kind of think about that, but God's plan is His plan.
You got anything else?
No, man.
Now, so what advice would you offer to those facing addiction or similar challenges that you face? What advice you got for them?
So that for me, living through it, that's kind of the easy part. We kind of covered some of it. I always encourage people to get help. Number one, you are going to need help. You're going to need advice, and you're going to need to walk with somebody that's been through this. And I'll tell them, you got to get honest. You've got to get honest and realize you can't do it like we talked about on your own. And I ask them, like I said earlier, I'll ask them the question, are you really ready to do whatever it takes? And most of the time they don't answer. If they don't answer that quick, like you said earlier, Zoe, you still got some work to do to get them there. But I think the best advice I ever got was through a sponsor I had. And he just kept driving it in me. If you're going to beat this thing, you can only do it one day at a time. One day at a time.
That's it.
That's the promise. That's all we got. We got today.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, when I get up, man, I'm going to try to win today.
Yeah.
It don't always happen.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can only do it one day at a time. And so, you know, that's what I try to tell people, that, you know, anything we do, we need somebody to walk it out with us.
Yes.
You know, whether it's addictions or, you know, you got to have somebody you got to be accountable to. You got to have somebody that's been through it, and then you got to listen.
Yes.
You know, and take that advice.
That's funny you say that, that everybody needs that no matter what you're doing in life. And I came across this video on social media, and it was talking about Michael Jordan. And they was talking about Michael Jordan had a trainer.
Yeah.
And how his trainer would do all these different things with him, these certain drills, and help him with his mindset. He had a coach, Phil Jackson, you know. So even the greatest basketball player ever,
yeah,
the GOAT.
yeah,
I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Last week I had somebody on the podcast. He
I
to
know.
go back and forth with me about LeBron James.
Yeah, yeah.
But Michael Jordan has a trainer.
Yeah.
Stephen Curry has a trainer. LeBron James has a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that you see that are successful at any level, especially at a high level, 9 times out of 10, they have a trainer. And what a trainer looks like to us is a mentor.
That's right.
Or family members or friends. But you need people in your circle that's going to have set expectations. They're going to set structure. They're going to hold you accountable, and they're going to want some type of productivity from you.
Yeah.
When I was in college, that's what our football coach came in and wrote on the board. ESAP. ESAP. Expectations, structure, accountability, productivity.
Yeah.
And that's what we ran off of. So
absolutely. And they go together, you know. They go together, and it's almost like I was always told, you know, always set a goal in sobriety. Set a goal, a month, go to 3 months, go to 6 months. The next thing I knew, I had a year. And everything started to change. I began to think clearly. And the biggest thing for me was to realize that I could be the kid that had those dreams, that would chase those dreams, Dwayne, like you're doing. And I didn't need this other stuff. That was the biggest thing. When I figured out I didn't have to have that to be everything I wanted to be, it changed the game. It was a game changer.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but you have to, like you said, Zoe, you got to give them those expectations and walk it through them and let them know, set those goals, short goals, not long range goals, you know, and get to that one. And then, you know, I always had a coach tell me one time, you know, you'll never know how far you can go unless you keep moving the finish line. So when you get to that one, you know, and after a while, you know, as I got older, I couldn't compete at a lot of different sports. So I started running. I became a runner. So, you know, I learned how to do a mile as fast as I could. Then I learned how to do a 5K as fast as I could. Then I did a half, and then I did a couple of marathons, and, you know, not fast.
No marathons,
but yeah.
Geez.
But yeah. So, but you know,
they're not fast.
No. It's to survive, but you know,
but that's tough.
Yeah. And you gotta, you know, you gotta push yourself. And I always wanted to know how far I could go.
Yeah.
And, you know, God showed me.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do it, I'll get you there.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. Like, and that's one thing I tell people. You can take the same passion that you had before you encountered your purpose and put it into your purpose.
Perfect.
Because you got a lot of people that will hustle the wrong way, you know, before they find their purpose, out there doing God knows what. And then when God comes into their life, or when they just flip that script or that switch, now they got that same hustle, that same passion for doing what is right, for going after God, for going after purpose. So the same way you went to that line, pushing yourself with the addiction.
Yeah.
And God told you last chance.
Yeah.
Okay, God, I went to my limit. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now come into my life. Let's shift this thing and let me push it this way.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I think it's good. I think it's, you know, what you said it, what you love, you will pour yourself into all of your being, what you love. So that's kind of the key, finding that purpose, finding that call, but really your heart knows what you love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you know, when God gets involved in it, man, it just goes all to a new level.
Yes,
and it changes too, because like at one point it was like, man, I'm going to be this motivational speaker. I'm finna go blah, 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 blah. I'm finna do all this. Then I had kids. And then God was like, no, See them too, right?
Yeah.
That's what I need you doing.
Yeah.
Like, so if anybody that's ever truly been around me long enough, they know that I'm all about my family.
Yeah.
Like, I will not take opportunities to get a different job or to go places, or even for my wife to get a job where she's gonna be on the road. No. Until these boys get out of our house, until we've done what God has called us to do, that's our calling right now.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong, we'll still do things, if it comes and we know that it's a God thing, not a good thing, but a God thing.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
But anything that's gonna take me away from my boys or my wife, I just can't do it right now. But I can look at other guys and they're doing it, traveling all over. I'm like, bro, I can't do that.
Right.
Like, I'm not putting that strain on my boys. If I left for a week and I came, my wife would be, she would be in the ship my boys off somewhere.
Yeah. Man, obviously, man,
that's me, though.
she has impacted your life enough to know what's really important.
Yeah.
And what you have, that family. Nobody can take that away from you, and it is the most important thing God's called you to do. So, man, I honor you for that.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
We got one more question left, man.
Question.
All right. So if you already kind of hit on this, but can you share another significant moment when you felt guided towards redemption?
I knew at one point it was sink or swim. I knew that everybody around me had enough. They just couldn't take any more. And so then that's when I did. I just gave up. I just had to surrender. And that was absolutely, as an athlete, you want the win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you've been defeated by something, it's hard to give that up. But once I just said, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it was just that one moment that turned everything around. And again, it's I had an encounter. And then God just started pouring people into my life. And they came on board quick. And they believed, I think they believed that they saw what God had done. So it changed quickly. And I almost felt like I cheated the system. I mean, I really did. You talking about the survivor? That's how I felt. I carried this guilt because there's so many people that that didn't get it like this.
Yes.
And I would work hard to, to on a ball field or whatever to achieve stuff, but this just came easy. It came natural. It's just like God took it and done away with it. It was like a weight was gone.
Yes.
And the anxiety was gone. The trying to perform for everybody was gone.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
And I just didn't have to live a lie anymore. I could just be what He called me to be. And so it was.
Yeah.
God makes it easy, man. He said, take this. This is easy.
Yeah.
If you'll take it.
Yeah.
So I carried around some guilt for that, but then God just started moving so much, and I saw. But here's the thing, I took away from trying to get my glory to let Him have His glory and everything.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about. It's all about Him and His glory, and it'll reflect it through you two guys, especially, and me a little bit.
It speaks for itself, man. Like I said, your very presence, you can just tell. I mean, some people you just, I don't know if he's authentic. I don't know if he's genuine. He's just talking. He's a smooth talker, But no, you can definitely tell that yours is truly genuine, and you truly love what you do. You truly have experienced a whole lot in life, and then for God to come in and change you, like the topic, change forever.
Yes,
that's powerful. I was listening to this guy sing, and his name was Wes Morgan. He's a white. He's an assistant pastor, but he's also a gospel artist.
Yeah.
And I was listening to him sing, and I was like, first off, he sung with so much soul, I thought he was a black artist. Like, real talk. And then I was like, why is he singing the way he's singing? I said, this man's been through something. So I looked up his story, found out he was a white guy, and then that he had been through all kind of drug addiction and stuff. And God had taken him, that that addiction away and off of him. And his parents were pastors, senior pastors of the church, and they had been praying for him, throwing holy oil, and God finally delivered him. So when he sings, when he speaks, when he talks, you can see it, you can feel it, you can all of that, because you truly know he's been changed, or forever changed.
I think the word is the word, man. And here's how I've always felt for me personally is that the word says that whom has been forgiven much, they will love him much. And we don't have a choice. It's just, it is what it is. And I met a couple of guys like Pastor Henry Melton just turned 90, and I met him 30 years ago at a breakfast, and I hadn't been saved very long, but man, he had this charisma and this energy I'd never seen or felt. And he said, "You got it." And I didn't even know what he was talking about. I didn't have it, but I wanted it. Yeah. And so when I stepped into it, it is what it is.
And it's your personality. It fits your personality.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of like Coach Prime, Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
He was talking about when he had his encounter with Christ, when God came into his, I think, a hotel room, and it was just like amazing, like stuff just wind blowing, shifting out. He was like, he had to do it that way because of the personality he's giving me. He was like, I'm a larger than life personality. So God can just come in here and just give me some little sprinkle, a little razzle dazzle. No, he had to do it big. And when he did it, I knew for a fact that's what I've been missing in my life. He was like, man, I'm playing 2 sports. I'm a Super Bowl champion. I've won a Super Bowl. I've done these great things, but yet I'm still searching for something.
It's crazy.
I'm still not fulfilled. Had a void in my life. And he found out it was Christ.
Well, I can tell, man, I'm a lot like you. I never lack for confidence. So, but growing up in Sheffield, I had a teammate, a good friend of mine, Byron Franklin, and I was always a wingman. I've always been a really good wingman. Byron was Mr. Everything, went to Auburn, played about 7-8 years in the NFL. So I knew what coming in second was like. I mean, I had raised him. He was a state champion, 100-yard dash. So I knew how to come in second. But to step into my own leadership and to be able to at time be that number one, I couldn't do it on my own. It took him. It took him and his grace and power. So. And, the thing is, and I tell people, and the last thing I'll say is never, ever take what God's done in your life for granted. Everybody don't get it. So,
and I like that you said that, because through my marriage, God reminds me of that. Hey, don't take your wife for granted. Don't take, when things are great, don't take those for granted. And when things are bad, it's not always going to be bad.
That's right.
So it's just like looking at things through a level eye, like just seeing things just right here at all times. Don't get too excited. Don't get too low. Stay even keel. Appreciate your wife. Appreciate your family, because you never know. You never know what could happen.
That's right.
So as we've seen, like children passing away for accidents and all these different things, like you just have to appreciate what you have to a point that everybody that's around you have genuine, authentic, unconditional agape love for people in your circle.
Perfect. Perfect.
Now, is it easy? No. But is it worth it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
One last question I want to ask you. You said that you didn't grow up in the church, but all these things has happened in your life that God still chose you. Was there anybody praying for you that you know of when you were growing up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I kind of bounce in and out of a church on occasion, but you always have that special someone, I think, in your life. And it was, without a doubt, I had a grandmother,
Come on.
And she helped kind of raise me when my mom was single, and I didn't really, so I always had that special bond. And she had 7 grandchildren. I always knew I was
the favorite.
Yeah. The chosen. You said it. Yeah. But, she did so much for me, and I saw God in her life all the time. And nobody was more excited when I came to know Jesus.
Awesome.
And, nobody was more excited. And what she saw, she knew. She already knew it was going to happen. But she saw it and got a chance to be at some events and some things. So, and I could always honor her. She was going to get up there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's praying grandma.
Hey.
That's crazy.
He had to have somebody.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when you say that, like, I kind of sit back and look back at, even with kids we mentor, sometimes our own children, sometimes people we love, like, we see what she see. but watching them go through the storm,
Yeah.
it hurts. You see them getting whooped. You see, all they need to do is this right here, Lord. You
Yeah.
know, you see it, but just watching them go through the storm is not always easy to see them. But Lord, we just pray for that.
Yeah.
For them to get it.
And what the miracle to me is that they're able to, like you said, they're able to love you through that.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's certain people, like you said, Zoe, you got to have that one that just will not
give up.
Mm-mm.
But see, my grandmother told me, she was like, yeah, of course I love your dad and your uncles and your aunts. But she was like, I don't know what it is, but it's something about having grandbabies. Like
Everybody
the way,
say that.
like real talk, like the way they treat grandkids, like they were mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like my grandma, she used to tell my dad on me all the time. Like, but when you but her great grands, man.
Yeah.
Like even my dad with my sons, like give them candy when they ain't
give them
supposed
so much slack.
Yeah.
Man, so strict on you.
So there is a different type of lust when you got a praying grandmother, grandfather, great grandmother, great grandfather praying for you. Like those prayers are heard.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why God shifted your life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So glory to God.
Yeah.
Glory to God.
Well, man, it's been great, guys.
Yes, sir.
So we out. All right, let me close us out real quick. Hey, this was another episode of the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. We thank you guys for tuning in. We had a special guest with us on tonight, Mr. Ronny Poag. You guys be blessed. We thank you. Like, subscribe, share, do all that. If you want to be on the podcast, get up with us. All right, you guys be blessed.
All right.
We out.